You're listening to Creating a Universe, a Love Anarchy podcast hosted by William J. Rogers. On this show, we follow the journey of creatives, artists, and entrepreneurs who are making a name for themselves in the ever-evolving landscape of today's industry, featuring an insight into both Love Anarchy and the Lovaniverse music universe, as well as the individual projects and stories of each of our guests, from the music industry and beyond. So whether you're a budding creative or simply interested in what goes on behind the scenes, this is the podcast for you. Hello and welcome to Creating a Universe. I'm your host, William J. Rogers, and today I'm here with the lead vocalist of progressive symphonic metal band Oïkoumen, Laura Mazard. How's it going, Laura?
I'm going well, and I hope everybody do.
Cool, nice. Yeah, we were just having a little chat, obviously, just before we started recording, and I was making sure that I got all the pronunciations right here.
You're perfect.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Yeah, Oïkoumen. Yeah, I mean, quickly, would you define, like, where does this name come from exactly? Because and you were just saying as well about the front, you use a special character for the I because of the French pronunciation.
Yes, we are using, I don't have the word for this character, but this is the double dot on the I, because in French, when you have an O and an I, it's wa, and Oïkoumen is not the right way to pronounce the name of our band. So that's why there is this double dot for Oïkoumen. And the words first come from a Greek word, which is oikoumene, and there is an E at the end, and oikoumene means the known word, the word that you know. And we wanted to use this name just to say that we're talking about things we know, but there is anyway something you still have to discover. So that's a way to talk about knowledge, and also to be sure that we're talking through the human point of view. So we're not talking about things which are like gods or big events we cannot control. We're talking through the human point of view.
That's awesome.
So
nice, very cool.
That's because we made a history studies. That's why.
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah. I want to delve into that. I just got a little distracted. Excuse me, by the name there. That's a really cool start. But just before we go any further, I want to start where we usually start with, just for people that, you know, may have not heard you before and what you do. Could you perhaps just give a little bit of an overview as to who you are, what you do, and then we can go from there.
Yes, but so as you said, I'm Laura Mazard in French, and nice. I'm the lead vocalist of Oïkoumen. In this project, I'm also giving the ideas about the songs, the concepts, the subjects, the concept of the album, the titles of the songs, this kind of things. I'm writing the lyrics also, and doing all this part, which is merch, shooting the videos, and the social medias, of course. Uh-huh. So there's different things, but in singing, I'm also singing for other projects like Golden World Archives project, which is a very good project, I think. And also I'm starting to collaborate with another band and maybe others in the future. So I like to be part of other projects which are not mine, because it's a different approach. So I really like singing everywhere I can.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's cool. I really love it. I love all the stuff that you're doing. It's a lot of work, right? Wearing all these hats, doing all the social media and everything. So you're doing an awesome job. For people that haven't heard the band before, Oïkoumen, how would you describe your music and what you guys do?
Well, that's still difficult to describe, because when we started the project, we were saying that we were a symphonic metal band, and now we had some reviews on the first album. We know that we're not really a symphonic metal band, and maybe more a progressive symphonic metal band. Uh-huh. So I would say that you cannot have the same energy as a classic symphonic metal band. It's not so epic what we're doing, but there is these classical instruments, orchestras, this kind of and this idea of power in our music. But there is also something which is broken. I mean, we are talking about anxiety, we are talking about bad subjects sometimes, and so we need to break this beauty we have in symphonic metal. So that's why we can be prog also. Sometimes I'm using this kind of broken influences. I don't know how to say it, but that's not so pure and so good vibes.
I love that. I think that's really cool. And your use of the term broken, that's a really interesting way to put it. I guess that's the progressive elements, and what people would pick up as progressive. So as you saying, reviewers and such saying, this is kind of progressive. Yes. I listened to your music and I said to you that I definitely find it quite artistic and creative, this approach that you have. It's unconventional. And I like that you call it broken and that you're reflecting kind of unstable emotions and such with that. That's a very cool thing. I'd be really curious to understand more about your guys' approach of like, how do you go about artistically conveying something like that, which ends up making the music the way that it is?
For now, we don't have any, as everybody, but any receipt. I mean, there is this idea we want the music to fit the subject. That's the first idea, or to fit an emotion. For example, if the composer is completely upset by something and he really needs something to put his emotion in, he will compose something, and then we will think, what can I think with this music? What can I think the subject is? Or I give him a subject. I want to express anger about this kind of things or anxiety about this kind of subject. And then he's trying to imagine how we can put it into music. So for example, if there is something which is constantly in my mind, how can we suggest this harassment in the song? Or if there is sometimes I have this, for example, in the album we made, there is a song about this idea that sometimes when you look at the newspaper and everything which can poison you around you, for example, we discovered that there is problems in some paintings on the walls, in some food you eat. There is this impression that you're poisoning you, and sometimes you're like, okay, what can I eat? What can I eat? And I need to use this kind of emotion to turn it into music. I don't know if I'm clear, but there is this in the process. How can we translate the emotion efficiently into music? The emotion is the beginning, and then we see how we can do that into music.
Very cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. And so the process for writing a song, it will vary a lot, I suppose. Sometimes comes from words first, sometimes from music. Is that right?
No, most of the time it's written by Eli, the composer of the band, and he's writing everything alone. Sometimes he wants some help just to have another point of view, but we're just here to give him one clue. I mean, one little help, but he's writing everything alone. And that's why in the music we're making, you can hear that there's lots of riffs because he's a guitar player. And that's different from sometimes symphonic metal, for example, where the guitar is not the most important. But in here, the guitar are very important.
Yes. Okay. I'm with you. And so that's where it perhaps gets a little more progressive. So Eli, he composes the music. And what does that look like? So if I'm right in thinking he actually does all the mixing, mastering, everything. So he produces the whole thing, right?
He produces the covers, but for the album, we really want to have someone different because we need to have another point of view on the work we're doing.
Okay, that's wise. All right, that's cool then. But so I assume that when a song starts, though, he's making like a demo version of it, right? That he's produced. And does he give you just like a straight instrumental, or does he give you melodies, scratch vocals? How do you come into it?
Yes, for the vocals, he's composing on Guitar Pro, which is a very easy. So it's easy to have a demo, even if the sounds are just awful. But you can hear the idea behind it. And so in the first album, he wrote all the singing melodies. The problem was like he's writing it for a flute, and I'm not a flute. And sometimes it was very high, very low, very high, very low. And I was, calm down. I will break my voice if you continue writing songs like that. And we made a single then, and I was with him writing the lyrics. So, I mean, not the lyrics, the melodies. So now we're trying to work together, so I just can sing the song because sometimes I can sing it when I record it, but when we were doing lives, for example, that was sometimes hard to afford, and I want to move on stage if I'm just like behind my mic and trying to focus on the technique. That's not good. So we're trying to find the right balance between something which is beautiful, and sometimes you have to write hard things because they sound beautiful, but not always too hard, so you can play with the simple things and difficult things.
Yes. Yeah. I'm totally with you. I think the same topic came up a couple episodes ago with Judith, because it was a similar situation. There was the composer for the band who makes these parts, and then with like a sample thing. And I joked about it as well. Like when you're composing for orchestra on MIDI, it's very easy to put like the trumpet part playing all these long notes. And then when you look at it in reality, it's like our trumpeter would have passed out like 2 minutes ago, you know? It's not actually possible in real life. Yeah,
clearly. So with an orchestra, that's not you can use that kind of tricks because it's hard to have a real one. And anyway, sometimes for example, for our music, it's in the background, so that's not a real problem. But when it's a lead instrument, you cannot cheat too much.
Exactly. Yeah. I love how you said it. You put it perfectly. I'm not a flute.
Yes, that's it. That's what I said to him. And sometimes that was the same for very, I don't know if it's the right word, but brief notes like, I was like,
yeah. Human voice, not quite up to that. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yes. And sometimes something you write, when it's written for the voice and you hear flutes do that, it's not interesting at all. But when the voice is singing it, that's not the same. So we were trying to do that. Now we are composing the second album, and we are really working together. So I can say, awesome. I can first sing the melody and then we hear if it's great, and we work together more.
Great. I mean, that's wonderful, because that just sounds like one of those things that's a natural development of you guys working together longer, and you go through an album and you learn a lot and you're able to build upon the process. So that sounds like a great development for you guys.
Yes, but we learned a lot actually with the lives and with the recording, and even with everything you can do when you record, for example, for the vocal the vocals parts, I can use different way of singing things because I can cut between the parts, and in live it's not as simple as that. So I'm also thinking about that. Can I use a song where I can sing safe on stage and do everything I want when I'm recording? So we also want that the recording songs are different than the song we are singing live, the same song, I mean. So when people see us live, they see new things, new way of singing things, and new way of playing solos or anything. And in the recording part, we can use all the tips, the tricks, I don't know how to say it, with the record.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of cool as well, because it means that in the live version, you still get that thing of it being alive. You know, it can kind of change and be more natural and adapted, I suppose. You know, it makes total sense, especially if you have like harmonies and things like that going on. Then you have to adapt it. You know, you can't start having multiple voices coming out of you. So
yes, that's it. And sometimes adapt also when I want a sound to sound so broken. Sometimes you use a technique which cannot fit live, or you cannot use it every time, or you will be too tired at the end, which is not so healthy. But it sounds so great in this moment, so I want to use it in the record, but in the live shows I will use something which is healthy.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's a sensible approach. Cool. So I guess then your biggest kind of part when it comes to the music itself, and where we're kind of up to in the production process is the lyrics, right? That's your domain. And you touched briefly upon some of the kind of topics and things like that, but I'd be really curious to know a little bit more about these concepts that you use and that you sing about lyrically.
Yeah. Well, we like to talk about what is bothering us, actually. So for me, it's easy to talk about my inner self. So that's not a problem to say what is anxiety and this kind of things. So I'm often using problem I have to take inspiration in them. So for example, in the first album, we were talking about the ecological problems because we wrote it just after we end our studies, and it was the beginning of the life alone. And suddenly you realize all the problems in the world and you're like overwhelmed by all that bad news and just looking at your world vanishing. So that was a way, this album, just to make my anxiety useful. I am anxious about things and I can use it to make songs. And the same, we have a song called Burnout, because one day I thought I would do a burnout because I was working too much, and I was looking around me and seeing all these people working too much and losing the sense of their work. And I was like, that's a society problem. We need to change that. So we wrote a song about that. So that's just a way. You don't just only complain about that at home, saying that there is this problem, there is this problem. You write a song about this problem, so now you can say it differently. Now when I have this problem, I can sing my songs, and so that's better.
Nice. Perfect.
That's my therapy.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So that angle is something I can always get down to. It's like the catharsis, so you have that feeling and it's bothering you, and you're able to kind of transform it into something beautiful, piece of art.
Yes, that's it. But well, we still want to do now a song with good vibes, because we will do depression if we continue like that. And we wrote one. There is a single coming which is much more with much more good vibes, and the second album is no, he's depressing. It's a depression. Anyway, it's
yeah.
It's how it
is. That's cool. It all serves its part, because as you say, it's like, we convert that into music to get it out of our system. And for others, if you're feeling low and depression and stuff, then it's comforting to hear other music that reflects that, it can be cathartic for us as well, just in listening to it. So it's still positive in a way, even if it is has a lot of negativity to it as well.
Yes, but I agree. As I said, for me, it's really a way to make your bad emotions useful, because for you, it's destroying you. And sometimes it's destroying others, because when you're talking to someone saying that I'm anxious about this subject, one day he will say, I don't want to talk about your anxiety. It's not an emotion I want to feel. But if you say, hey, here, I write a song about my bad emotion, then he can hear it.
Yes.
So that's the way to talk about these things, and in a way that people can hear them. And sometimes people came to us with the songs talking about their own anxiety. So that's also a way to open the dialogue about some important subjects. Lots of people don't hear the lyrics, search about the what they mean. But well, when they do, sometimes we talked about it, and that's great to gather around these subjects. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is great, because it's all kind of about connection, ultimately, right? In music, it connects us to one another, and we resonate with a certain thing. So yeah, that's wonderful to have that aspect to it. You mentioned as well about the first record. I'm assuming that you're referring to the Dystopia album, because I believe you had an EP before that. Is that right?
Yes. We had an EP when we were not sure about where we would go with this project. And at the very beginning, this EP was made when we were still in university. So we were about to talk about history in the songs we were composing. And then I discovered Sabaton, and I say, no, they do that very well. I will do something else.
I see. Cool. So the first EP was all historical kind of stories.
Yes, that's about, for example, Pompeii, you know, this the volcano next to Naples who destroyed 2 cities. So we were talking about this eruption, Crusades also, and one about the video games, because that's something we like. But then we were like, yes, but we don't say things we want to say inside these songs. So maybe we could say things which are very related to us. That's what artists do. So let's do it.
That's nice. Cool. And so where you're at now is, as you say, you'd like to take a sort of down to earth, like kind of visceral approach where you're really being you and expressing these emotions. You mentioned that you don't approach it in this way that's more larger than life kind of gods and mythos, I suppose. It's all about the raw emotion.
Yes, and that's also because when Eli is composing, I think the word visceral is good. I felt that when I was listening to his riffs and music and everything. So it gave me inspiration to say what is visceral for me. So that's why it's like that. And also because I think that I have a lot to say, but I'm not a poet. So what I write is raw. So we need to talk about raw emotions, because I want to talk about fairy tales. I love this kind of songs, but if I write fairy tales, it will be not good words and I don't write it well. So I want to do what I know I can do.
I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's very cool. And and it is interesting. It's made for quite a unique sound because, as you say, you guys have these symphonic elements, like as a sort of umbrella thing. Like it makes sense that you guys started by calling yourself symphonic metal. You know, you have metal and orchestras, but yeah, it is different. You guys have your own approach that, like, it really doesn't sound like you've listened to another band and been like, we want to do that. Like it has really come from a more unique place. And that's why I say it's quite creative, and certain things like in your music, it listens to me and it keeps me on my toes the whole time. You know, it doesn't feel like indulgently progressive. You know, it's not like Dream Theater. Not that I'm calling Dream Theater indulgent. I love Dream Theater, but it's a different kind of thing. It's more that you guys just have a very kind of quirky approach. And as you say, it kind of taps into that kind of viscerality. And I really love it. It's it gets in it, you know, and that's so cool that you guys clearly have a great partnership where Ellie kind of makes this kind of music that makes you react in this way that turns it into these words and it creates the thing that it is. So very cool.
Nice, you like it. Just to give an anecdote about what you said, when we wrote the song called Slaughterhouse, so it's about slaughterhouses and the fact that some of them are quite hell on earth.
I can imagine.
So we wanted that the people listening to the song would be a bit disappointed, not with the song, but will feel the anxiety. And someone said that he cannot hear it because it's too odd. He was like, no, something is bothering me in your song. And we were like, yes, victory.
That's it. So exactly. Yeah.
So we also like this idea that people feeling the same as us will like this song because that's the proper way we found to express the emotion we have. But some other who don't feel the same with this kind of subject will just be, no, I don't want to hear that. Like in real life, actually, when you're talking about these subjects, people are like, no, I don't want to hear. And this song, I don't want to hear. So that's the same.
I love that. I think that's really cool. And it takes you got to be bold to have that approach. And I respect that. Because really the worst thing is indifference. That's the worst reaction you can have. You play a song and people can be like, oh, okay, cool, next. You know, and you can have very amazing produced music and, you know, very flashy, or maybe in symphonic metal, it's very epic orchestra and all of that stuff. And it can be very impressive, but there's lots of stuff like that, you know, so it can really quite easily be onto the next one. A large part of the chat I had with Power Metal Ranger on here was kind of about that. Cause man, that guy listens to so much music, like hundreds and hundreds of albums all the time. And that's the thing, is so much power metal, it sounds like maximum epic, but like when you listen to that much of it, it all starts to kind of become the same. And at that point, you want something that's going to stand out and surprise you, you know? And I think that that's what you guys have, and much rather have somebody love it or hate it. You know, even like when you kind of almost turn somebody the wrong way, as you say, people that are like, no, I don't want this. You know, you give someone almost like a bad visceral reaction. That's good. Exactly as you said, because that shows that it actually does something. It's not just like an impressive production or whatever. It's a real piece of art that causes a reaction. So I love it.
Yes, I agree with that's why we were very good with this, with the bad feedbacks we had. We don't have too much because when you're a beginner, you often have good feedbacks. But we've been talking about that with Power Metal Ranger. Also, the fact that for us, it's also great to have people who don't like our music, because for now they don't like our music for things which are made in purpose. So we're still proud of that.
Amazing.
For now, because we're little. Then let's see.
I love it. I think it's really cool. Yeah, I it's very, you know, it's testament to your kind of your creativity, your artistic approach to just like do what is authentic to you in that kind of bold way. I really admire that. One thing I'm curious about as well is you guys, do you write all the lyrics in English, right?
Yes, maybe there is some wrong words. I don't know.
I didn't notice it. I didn't notice any wrong words. I just wanted to double check. Obviously, I know all your titles, everything is in English. So, is there any particular decision behind that, or is that just natural for you to do? Because you guys are French, right?
No. Yes, we're completely French. But yes, that's I took this decision, and everybody agree on that because for two reasons. The first is the dream to be able to cross the world with our music, and we know that English is a very popular language, so people can understand it easily. And there is that we put messages inside our songs, so we want that everybody can understand what we say. And at the same time, it's also a way for me to take I don't know how to say it, but not to feel too concerned about what I say. Because when I sing in my language, I really understand each word I'm saying, and that's too personal. I don't know how to say it. But for example, in the second album, we will talk about something which are sometimes related to our history, our story, life stories. So that's easier to put it in English. So it's something which is talking to everybody. That's not just me giving my life or talking about my life or my story. It's something for everybody. So that's a way just not to be too concerned about the subject. So everybody can feel concerned.
That's really interesting. So it provides you something of a disconnect, essentially, where like there's a difference between you actually just being you and your own inner narrative, and there's you creating your art. They're kind of different. You're able to separate them that way. That's really cool.
But nice. I think that's also healthy. I mean, because if we want to do this kind of music, that's sometimes people don't have limits between us singing and us in real life. But I need to have that because, for example, in my everyday job, I have to be very shining and always smiling. Everything is great. And so when I'm singing, I can be true. If there is bad emotion, there is bad emotion. So but that's good for me to separate those two, and also good just to be able to perform also. Because there is some, for example, I know French singers and maybe other from all around the world which are crying on stage because they just understand too much what they are saying. And for me, the English is a way just to still be a character on stage. I'm true. I'm not faking anything, but I can just have the general idea, and the world are not the same. I don't know how to say, but if you say, for example, someone is dead in English, okay, I see what it means. But if it's in French, elle est morte, that's not the same for me. I don't know how I take this example because it's clear, I think, but well.
Yes. Yeah, no, I do get you. I think that you put it perfectly there when you said about a character on stage, because I think lots of people, myself, that was certainly my approach, is to use a kind of persona. And then that persona allows you that disconnect. You know, it's obviously been a popular kind of approach to go about it. So I kind of love that for you, you don't like to use so much of a persona. You kind of like to keep it very down to earth and real. but in a way, using the vessel of the English language kind of is your persona. I suppose it serves the same purpose.
Yes, that's it. That's just a way to protect you and not be too sincere, because you're vulnerable when you're sincere. But as you said, it's not a character. It's not a persona. In other projects, I'm using a persona clearly because I have a character, and that's so nice. I just love doing that, but not in the Oïkoumen project.
Cool. Nice. Well, I'm happy I asked about that, about the English, because you never know, exactly what the reasons are, but that was a particularly interesting response, I think. Very cool to know about your approach. And you guys said about being students and singing about history. So were you all history students? Is that right?
Not all. Ellie, yes. Me too. But Yael, which is the bass player, was studying that's letters in French, but not in English. Well, books, but not about history, about stories.
Okay. Yeah.
So literature. Maybe.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Literature. And the drummer we met is in the environment, in the water issues and this kind of thing. So completely different.
Cool. But you did say that you have themes of that in your music as well.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. But we met him after the first album, and we said, "Oh, that's a good CV. We want to have you."
Yeah, it fits. Nice. Okay, that's cool. And so, did you have a drummer when you did the album and all of that stuff?
No, but we knew people. We knew a band who was asking a drummer, a session drummer, for their album, and their album is very, very technical. So we were like, okay, if this drummer can do that, he can do our song.
Okay.
And so we asked the man, which is a French drummer called Clément Denis. He's the drummer of Fractal Universe, and he's outstanding. So we asked him if he could do the drummer, the session drummer for us, and he made it in 2 days.
Wow.
Too easy.
When you get those really top session guys, man, they smash it out like crazy. Yeah, it's quite something. That's awesome. Yeah. But you guys did decide to go with the drummer anyway, instead of like program drums, which become increasingly more common.
Well, so at the very beginning, we were not sure about that, because this is a question of costs, because, well, you have to pay people for their work. That's normal. And at the beginning, we were with no money. But we wait a lot before we started the album and before we released it, because we wanted to put money on the side and then use this money to pay people to do things properly. So we paid the drummer, we paid the mix also, and it was impossible to think not doing that. I mean.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. Just to really make the statement with your album, of course. And so I know that you guys are doing gigs and things now. Were you doing gigs prior to the album, or was it more of a studio project before and then?
Not with me. The bass player, the guitar player, the drum player the drummer was doing lives before, but with other projects. And with Oïkoumen at the beginning, we didn't have enough songs to do a live. So that's why we waited until the first album release.
Yeah. Cool. But now you guys you start playing gigs relatively recently then, I assume?
Yes. In the beginning of the year, the first live we made with Oïkoumen was in January, and then we made 3 others, and we were planning to do some in September, etc. But we're just not getting into it because we need to focus on album number 2. So, cool. Well, let's finish composing. Let's finish all the shootings we have. Let's be prepared for all new releases. And then when everything is done and we have to focus on album number 3, we can maybe take time to find new gigs.
Okay, cool. Nice. So the music, the recording and stuff is still priority number 1 then?
Yes, because, well, we need to, if we do too much live with the same songs, well, people will get bored at our shows. So we need to write others songs.
Yeah, I'm with you. Fair enough. Cool. Well, another thing that I definitely wanted to ask you about that you briefly mentioned there was about the videos. You guys make a lot of videos, really cool, creative videos that you guys are making yourself. From what I gathered, you're really kind of doing a lot of that yourself and leading that. So when did you guys start doing videos, and what's your approach been to doing those?
Well, we started before album number 1 came out, because we wanted to start existing for people. So we were starting because I was learning singing at the time, and my God in life is Tarja Turunen. I was like, can we do some covers of her, maybe in Nightwish, because I was almost also a huge fan of Nightwish. So the very first videos we make is just for me, helping me to learn how to sing. So I was
right.
This was a way to say, if I can sound good in this kind of singing, that's the beginning of everything. So well, that's why at the very beginning and in very low quality, you have those covers from Nightwish with Tarja era. And then we decided to take it differently. We said that in the covers, we will always give us challenges. So, for example, now we're working on another cover, which is for me just so hard, because that's black metal. And I'm like, how can I sing it? Well, okay. And well, that's always a challenge. For example, we also made a cover of Flesh God Apocalypse, and that was for the bass player, because he's also programming the synthesizers. So that's why a way to improve himself, etc., etc. So now we do the covers for that, and that's a way to improve ourselves with the shootings. And we still think that we're not good enough. So when we do shootings for our music, we are trying to work with people now. So for example, we were shooting next weekend a music video for a song from the album with my brother, which is studying cinema. So he is able to help us a bit. And I think that's much better.
Yes. Yeah. I bet. Yeah. It must be a lot of work, making music videos like that. And you guys clearly put a lot of effort into it, and like all the costumes and stuff, you have different like costumes and looks in all of your videos and different settings, and it all takes a lot of planning and things like that, which for the most part, I think thus far you have kind of been managing pretty much all of that yourself, right?
Yes, that's why it's exhausting sometimes. And for the costume, what's funny is that sometimes it's just when you look at us in front, that's okay. But if you could be behind us, so that's why
Nice.
That's why sometimes it's easier to work with someone. But anyway, so and even there is a music video we made in like antique Roman ruins, and the thing you don't see is that there is people around us mocking us, and we're still like we're serious, but people are just mocking us. And a child came into us, just beating us. We were like, can we be alone for just a few minutes, please? So that's not always easy.
Yeah, that's gotta be a challenge.
Yes, and also because we always want to do big things, and then we realize that we need more skills, or we need special effects, and we are always frustrated. So
I'm with you. Yeah, I know that one for sure. Yeah, want to do like really big, amazing production with no budget.
Yes. And sometimes you ask professionals, I want to do that, how much does it cost? And he's
1
like,
million billion.
Yes. Okay. What's a pity?
Yeah,
that's frustrating.
Yeah. Well, you guys seem to persevere very well, man. Like I really like the creativity again that you guys have in what you do, and it just it goes well with your music. It's reflective in that way that that you guys are creative about it, and I love the kind of the costumes and such. There's a sort of theatrical quality to it that I really enjoy. It's really cool.
Yes, I do too. I like, well, we are still working on the costumes for the album and the live show we'll do. It's easier to have costumes when you're making covers because you're trying to fit the atmosphere of the cover. And that's funny to do that. But for our own style, for example, we don't find the costumes. That's because this is us. So what are our costumes, you know?
Yes.
So we're trying to work with maybe a dressmaker, someone we have to find someone which can help, because I asked Dior if he could send us something, but he said no. So.
Yeah, somewhat quite in demand, I'd have thought. Oh, maybe album number 4. You'll get there. Yeah, that's cool. But I mean, you clearly have like quite, you know, your own kind of sense of style and such anyway, even without kind of theatrical characters, you know. You have yeah, perhaps it's your French heritage that helps.
Yeah, maybe. But what's difficult is that how we are dressing on stage is completely different as how we're dressing in normal life. So that's why we really have to think about how can we look like on stage.
And you guys have done quite a few of those covers, right? And you're planning on doing more by the sounds of it. You said there's a black metal one coming up. So you like doing these covers? It's kind of a big part of what you guys do, right?
Yes, we like doing that, but that's just a way to have challenges. Because, for example, the song we are we are covering now, it's not something I was listening to. It's not a kind of singing I can afford, so I need to find something to be able to rewrite the melodic line for my voice, and that's a super nice challenge just to be creative. So that's why we like doing covers, and also that's always a pleasure to sing the songs you like. So for example, I'm always begging my band mates to cover Nightwish again. But I don't want to. So well, there's different approaches, just a way to have pleasure and also the way to have challenges. And sometimes when you don't have anything to release, that's a good way to say, hello, I'm still alive.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because this is something you guys can do, I guess, little to no budget, like all just resourceful from yourself, basically.
That's it. That's why that's not easy to do, because there is still one this weekend, for example, with BES. We will record the drum and we will shoot the music video, and then I will have to edit it and do the color grading, and so that's not easy, but that's nice to do anyway. And for example, we took some ideas in this cover. We realized that I can do this kind of things, for example, so maybe we will use it in the album. So
nice. Yeah, cool. Exactly. Like you get better from putting your skills to the grind, you know? So yeah, I like that approach. And yeah, I think, was it Gethsemane the first Nightwish cover that you did? Was that the first one? I think you did a couple Nightwish covers, right?
Yes, I think this was Gethsemane, the first, very first one.
Yeah. That's a great tune.
And then we made, I think, 6 others from Nightwish. One of them we will have to.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a real fan.
Is Nightwish your favorite band?
Yes, of course. But nice. I must say that I'm stuck in Tarja's era. I really like Floor Jensen, also how she revealed the band differently. But there is something which is just perfect for me with the second album, for example, Oceanborn, and well, that's something I'm listening every day. So yes, that's my favorite band.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm with you, at least at this point. Like I feel like I'm still stuck in the Tarja era as well, but I think mostly because I really fell in love with Nightwish back then in the Tarja era. I think I was quite young, so it was more like the time that I really got super into Nightwish was round about the time that Tarja left, but it was before Annette came on. And I remember at first when Annette joined, feeling kind of, you know, it didn't click for me at first. I was almost kind of disappointed that it was different. I was a kid, you know, and I can respect it all in hindsight, you know, but the Tarja Nightwish like that, that was always just so iconic.
Yes, I agree. But that's not, and it's clearly not the same kind of vibes. And that's why I think they're amazing. That even if you don't like one of the three singer, it's just because you don't like this style, but it's not because the singer is bad. And that's why I think I like, that's why I think I like Tarja, because I like classical singing and she's just mastering it so well. And that's why also I admire Flo, because the way she's singing, I cannot sing like that. And I think that there is, well, she's also amazing, but not for the same reason. And in symphonic metal, that's not so easy, actually, I think, to hear someone really singing with the classical vibe like Tarja is doing, or Diane van Grinsbungen from former Alexandria and now Ex Libris. These kind of voices, or like Judith, for example. So that's really nice to hear that kind of voices.
I'm with you. Well, I wanna get more into this, but I think what would be really cool is to like wind it all the way back. And I'm really intrigued as to when you first got into music. Like, where did your musical journey begin for you?
It really began with Oïkoumen, actually. Because when I was a child, I always wanted to sing, but I was a very shy child, and well, my childhood was not so easy. So I was not focusing on that, but just feeling good in life. That's the first goal. And then I went to high school. I met Eli. Eli was he was assuming that he was playing guitar and he wanted to make a band, etc., etc. And we were just talking about things and like that. And suddenly I said, just I want to sing. Can I sing something with you? So he gave me what is a Warlock. I don't know if you know Warlock band with Doro Peach.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It was like, I cannot sing like her. Can I sing Nightwish, please? So we started, because when I was a child, I was more singing Disney in the bathroom, or Disney songs, or Joe Hisaishi songs, things like that, or lullabies for my little sister when she was falling asleep. So I really started focusing on singing and saying myself, I want to sing with Oïkoumen.
Okay. And but you enjoyed singing from a young age, as you say. You sang, Disney songs and lullabies. So you always loved singing?
Oh yes, and still Disney songs, but in the car now.
Nice, yes. So it's that kind of theatrical voice, and you said about lullabies as well. You like that kind of sweet tone, and as you were saying, the kind of classical tone and such as well. That's always resonated with you.
Yes. But classical singing, I was always touched by it, but it's very, very loud. So when you're just practicing alone, you don't practice classical singing, or everybody is going to hear you. Yes. So that's why I wait a lot before taking lessons, classical lessons, to be able to sing in my home without bothering the neighbors.
I get you. So you started Oïkoumen in secondary school then, or high school, as a teenager? Is that right?
No, we were. I don't have the word to say it properly, but it's not high school. I think it's like when we were in university. So it's 5 years ago, I think.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Or like when you're, like late teenage, something like that.
Yes,
or early 20s.
I was 24 or 25, maybe.
No. Okay. All right. 20s. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay. Yes. Yeah. In university. Okay, cool. And so before that, you literally just sang for your own pleasure. But at what point did you start like doing singing lessons and things like that? Then after you already started Oïkoumen?
First we started Oïkoumen. We recorded the EP. I heard Mia and I was like, I really need lessons, and so I took lessons. So I took lessons first with a private teacher, and then she said that she understood I wanted to go to classical singing, and so the best way to learn classical singing is to go to the conservatoire. I think it's conservatory, maybe in English, I don't know, but it's the place to learn classical singing. So now I'm there, and that's so nice. We can learn so many things. And I was disappointed because I said to my singing teacher, I was showing her Tarja and saying, in how many years can I sing like that? And she said, 10 years. So I
takes
still
work.
have like
Yeah,
to learn. Yeah.
of course, of course. So are you? Well, no, you work a lot. So I mean, you go to the conservatory just for lessons like regularly, or?
Yes, each week and sometimes twice a week, because I'm also
Nice.
involved in a project where I'm singing with other singers from the conservatoire. And so yes, I'm trying to be very serious about that because I really want to improve my singing.
Wow, that's
I work
fantastic.
a lot. Well, and
Cool.
I love that kind of singing because that's just the way all the pressure of the day is gone after you sing that kind of with this kind of voice. But well, anyway, for Oïkoumen, I'm and other projects, I'm trying to learn other kind of techniques, and I think I should take other lessons for other techniques, because my singing teacher in the conservatoire is like, no, you cannot sing something different or you will waste what we do together. So you just have to focus on the technique I'm giving you.
Sure.
And I know she's right, because when I record too much different kind of singings, when I come back to the lesson, she can hear that I'm not serious. So well, that's a choice. But I said to her, "Will I be a diva one day?" She said, "That's very hard in this to succeed in operatic singing." So I said,
Yes.
"So
Yeah.
I want that only."
Yes, exactly. You got to do your own thing with it for sure, which you already are. So, that's cool. And I mean, as well, you clearly have quite a artistic flair to what you do, which means that being able to balance different styles and create your own thing where you can express your own emotions, I think that's clearly a right thing for you, because opera and the classical world is kind of different for that. It's very excellent, and is wonderful to it's almost like for pure musicality, you can't beat it, right? But you're mostly playing from a repertoire of music that's hundreds of years old, and that's not really going to change.
Yes, I agree. So that's a good way to train, but maybe not to make a career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unless that's what you want to do. But yeah, I mean, for you, it makes sense that you're doing what you are. I'm interested then, just in terms of your interest in music in general and the kind of music that you like. I've got the gist of as a kid, you like Disney movies and stuff, obviously. And at some point you've heard Nightwish and it's been like, this is my favorite band ever. You clearly like classical music as well to some extent. I'd love to fill in the gaps a little bit more, what music really impacted you as a kid and how did your interest in music kind of progress throughout the years?
Well, when I was a child, I was first listening to the music my father was listening. So Pink Floyd and the Doors and this kind of music I still love. I mean, Pink Floyd is one of my favorite bands, Queen, also this kind of things. And then around maybe 11, when I entered what is the collège in France, but I don't know. I know it's not the same in English, but I discovered metal music, but I was first into Linkin Park and Children of Bodom. I was just listening Children of Bodom every day, and I wrote their name everywhere on my walls. So I make tags on the walls. Children of Bodom, Alexis Layo, I love you.
When you were 11, is that?
Yes, I started. I discovered them when I was 11, and then I discovered more symphonic metal. And at the very beginning, I was listening to Nightwish, but I wasn't aware that this was Nightwish because I was making what we called AMV. So that was music videos about mangas or video games. And then you make music video with these images, but with another music. And I found 10th Man Down. Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was to do contest. You do contest of editing video. You edit videos about video games with your own music, and you do contests. And so you can win nothing, but well, you win.
Awesome.
So that's how I discovered Nightwish with 10th Man Down. And I was like, this voice is just amazing. I want to know who she is. And I waited for maybe 5 years before I understood that this wasn't just Nightwish.
I've got you. Yeah.
So
which song was it? Do you remember?
Yes, 10th Man Down.
Oh, sorry, 10th Man Down. Right, yeah. Awesome. Nice. And so, okay, so you knew the song through the videos, and then at some point later it clicked who this band was, and you went and got the albums and stuff.
Yes, and it's my my aunt that she gave me a CD from Nightwish. She said that I should like it, and suddenly I heard the voice, and I was like, "That's the same voice. I know that's her."
Wait, so it was your aunt? Is that right? Like your parents' sister? That's really cool, because my story with Nightwish is very similar.
Really?
Because
explain.
The first time I ever heard Nightwish was on a video on YouTube that somebody made with a video game, right? So that part is the same. I wasn't making those videos, but I saw it on YouTube. I was playing the game at the time. It was a game called RuneScape. For anybody that may have played that, I would have been about 11 as well, or maybe possibly even a bit younger. And there was this awesome video of this crazy event that happened on the game, and they soundtracked it using Planet Hell. And I remember just loving that video. I watched that video so many times, and that song was just the most epic thing ever. And I loved it, but I never thought about the band and who it was. And then my auntie got into Nightwish and thought, wow, this is a really cool band. You would like it. And she had all of the albums, the Tyre albums at the time. Those were all the ones that were out. And she, well, sorry, Nightwish, but like she like copied the CDs and gave them to me. And so I had them, and then I was like, wow, okay, this is really cool. And I listened to it again and again and again, and loved Nightwish. So yeah, it kind of definitely has some similarities really there.
That's crazy how similar it is. That's the same history.
The funny thing is that like Nightwish comes up so much, man, so much. Especially if you speak to anybody that is anywhere near symphonic metal. Nightwish is just like the band, right? So everybody seems to have a Nightwish story, or when you talk about what the most impactful bands are, it's like all roads lead back to Nightwish. But of every story that everybody's told me, I never heard one that was like almost exactly the same.
I promise that's my story also. I didn't copy you.
At least you were actually making the videos though. That's makes it cooler.
But yes, you're right. I think that band is like a pillar for lots of singers and lots of musicians, because they just found, they created a new genre. I mean, even if Listen Temptation, I know, was creating the same kind of genre at the same time, but it's more for me rock symphonic, and the voice is just completely different. So that's two different things together, but not the same inspiration.
Sharon's wonderful. Yeah, in fact, my aunt actually gave me Nightwish and Within Temptation. They kind of came together, and obviously Evanescence was already really big at the time as well. Like that was just all over the TV and the radio and stuff, you know.
Yes, you're right. But Nightwish wasn't. I didn't understood why Evanescence was on all TVs, but not Nightwish.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe because Evanescence are an American band for one. And they, especially that song, Bring Me to Life, massive song. And I think it also kind of had that sort of nu metal crossover, which was very mainstream at the time, you know? So that's one thing that Evanescence had that Nightwish didn't. Nightwish are more fantastical and Scandinavian, you know? So I think that was probably the main thing. But I definitely, felt the same about it, that like, it was especially the operatic vocals definitely that stood out to it so much, because that was something that made it so unique, which is why I felt slightly kind of almost disappointed at the time when it changed to a net. Like it's almost like, where are the operatic vocals? Obviously I totally understand it and like really appreciate the kind of progression now in hindsight. But yeah, I'm totally with you. I think that's why it clicked with so many people, and so many people have Nightwish story. It's like when you hear like classical operatic vocals with metal music, and it's like, oh my god, mind blown.
Yes, I agree with that, and also because she has this very specific tone, which is just so dark, even if she's a soprano, but it's like she's an alto. That's so crazy how the darkness in her timbre is. She's beautiful.
Nice. So it went from I love Alexei Lehu to I love Tarja Turunen, right? Nice. Finnish metal stars in general.
Yes, I agree. But I think that they have a long story with that, so that's why they're good at that.
Of course, yeah. I mean, so you were listening to lots of metal then. You were always kind of a big metal head then from around about 11 years old.
Oh yes, still. Maybe that's the music I listen to most of the time, specifically when I go to work and when I see those mountains of people in the street and I just cannot cross the street properly because there's too many people in Paris next to where I live. So I'm always listening, for example, to Arch Enemy. Arch Enemy is a band I really like. Ginger, for example. You also have other kinds of bands. I'm still listening to Linkin Park. Park. Mm-hmm. So yes, I'm still listening metal music, but not only. I'm still really into medieval music, Renaissance music. I like old music, and that's also a huge source of inspiration for us when we are writing, even if you cannot hear that because the style is not Renaissance or Middle Ages, but how to write is inspired sometimes by those eras. I mean, those times. I'm also listening a lot to the project with which I'm working. I don't know how to say it, but for example, with Golden Word Archives, I'm working with them for the second album, but I'm listening a lot to the first one because I like the music. So I'm also listening a lot to people I'm following on Instagram, or for example, I met Pete Rockliffe with this project, and now I'm listening Crown Solace every day. So I'm also listening a lot.
Nice.
That.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's great to have that when you actually have the connection with these artists and to listen to like your friends' music. It's really cool. It adds a whole other dimension to it, for sure.
And I'm still also sometimes listening to other kind of styles like rap music. I like Eminem, for example. He's also a huge source of inspiration. And well, not always and only metal, even if it's the music I love the most. Every kind of music can fit. Not to like Taylor Swift, this kind of thing. I cannot hear that, but that's a question of taste.
I'm with you. Yeah, I think that I would say that my music taste has a similar scope. But I would definitely say that I like more than I don't like, for sure, or I'm open to more. But certain things are just not for me. And I would say the same thing. It's the super commercial pop music. I just feel like if that's what the majority of the people in the world like, then they can like that. I'm not. That kind of turns me off. Exactly. Yeah, I don't need to listen to that. That's kind of how I feel about it, I suppose. But yeah, that's cool. All right, so I'm really intrigued to join some dots here. You mentioned about the medieval music and stuff like that, and we were speaking a little bit about it, I think, off camera. So in terms of like what you do with your profession and the history kind of stuff, and you work with like history of music to some degree, I believe. So I'm really curious to understand more about this. And I guess in context of your life trajectory, you've kind of like been a teenage metalhead and stuff coming up, and then you've gone and studied history at university, formed the band, obviously, which is, we kind of know where that side of things are at. And then outside of that, perhaps you could just tell us about what you do in your work.
So I'm what's called a guide conférencier in French, which is like a guide and someone who is giving you lessons about art. So I can give lessons in, for example, schools, not in schools, but for sometimes I go, what is simple is to say I'm giving knowledge about art history.
Okay, cool.
Where you want. But most of the time I'm working for museums or monuments like the Louvre, or like the Castle of Vincennes, the Castle of Fontainebleau. Well, I'm working a lot with all what's around Paris, so there's lots of things here, so I can work easily. And because I like music, I decided to specialize myself in musical guiding. So I can do, as I said, tours, including moments where I will sing things. So for children's, for example, that's a way to they have to hear to listen to the lyrics. So I'm singing a Middle Ages song, and they have to guess what is it about, because it's in Old French sometimes, so they don't understand anything, and that's funny. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they need to guess the end of the story, so they understand that lots of these Middle Ages songs always end in the same way. So that's just a way so they understand. And also sometimes they have to listen to songs, and I want them to guess what is the song from the Middle Ages here. So at the beginning, everybody is afraid, oh, I never studied music, but no, don't be scared. Just listen, and they listen and they guess what is the Middle Ages song. So that's interesting. Just through the emotions and with no knowledge, sometimes to spread a bit of knowledges. But sometimes I'm giving tours for musicians, and so here I'm really giving knowledge about history of music, because I'm not I'm unable to play Middle Ages music. I'm not a musician. I can just sing it, but I can give the history of music. So that's what I do.
That's such a cool job. Like, that sounds like a super, super cool job, especially because like you work for yourself. You do it kind of like independently. You can just, you basically, so you're a tour guide essentially, and you kind of create your own package, like the own story that you want to tell to give this experience to people. And then you get to just, people can book with you, and then you turn up at some cool place and you guide them through it, right?
Yes, that's it. Well, I'm often working with the same museums and monuments, and they ask me things, but I also do what you said. But I cannot do only what you said, because this would be too difficult for a living, because that's uncertain. So that's why I'm also working with the museums, and as I said, I'm doing the masterpieces of the Louvre, the Mona Lisa, and common stuff. But sometimes more specific programs. Also, I'm doing tours about the what you can smell. We smell things. We have games. Well, the idea is to have a good moment, learn a lot, but with pleasure. And I'm working with different kind of people. I'm working with tourists, of course, but also refugees, and also schools, and also prisoners, and any kind of people.
Wow. I mean, that sounds so cool. That's like an incredibly cultured position to be in, right?
Yes, that's
working
really
in Paris, around all these sites, all these different people. I mean, that sounds amazing.
Yes, I think that's great, because I have an example. One day, my working day was in the morning. I was working with teenagers which are in prison and don't speak French too much, so specific approach. Then with really little child, and then with the most important client from Dior in the same day. Wow. So you really have to switch your vocabulary and everything. And the last one was in English, so I was like, all that in one day. So that's great. The only problem with this job is more related to the fact that I also sing, because I'm using my voice every day and too much. And my vocal cords can suffer from that. And sometimes I'm in the end of the day, I want to practice, but I just cannot, because I've been talking all the day and my voice is just out of order. So that's what is difficult for me, is that I don't have time to practice as much as I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine that must be tricky, using your voice so much. You must have to practically talk all day, every day.
Yes, and sometimes it's not talking, it's shouting. When you're in the Louvre, the noise
kind of like performing. Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
That's it. And that's great. You said performing, and sometimes with the child, you're really performing with with new voices. So when you're speaking like that, and then and you're doing bad things with your voice, and at the end of the day, broken.
Yeah, I bet, man. Wow, yeah. But it sounds really cool. It reminded me, when you were talking about the different clientele, of what you said about the music videos or the covers, you know, just the fact that there's always like another challenge to it, which allows you to get creative. It's that same kind of thing, it seems, where you're working with these different groups and it keeps you on your toes, you know, and you have all these different challenges and that sounds really cool.
Yes, I think I don't complain on the job in itself. It's a great one. There is problems like in any jobs, I mean, but I always wanted to have a job I like, because I know that being professional in music would be very difficult and maybe I will be dead before I succeed. But anyway, I cannot just focus on that. That's too hard. So I need to find a job that I'm happy with if I'm not succeeding in music. So I need to have this double life. To be short, but sad at the end.
Sure. I mean, most of us do to some extent, and you know, plenty of musicians that we would consider rather successful have other, you know, means and outlets and work and stuff. You know, as far as yours goes, I mean, as you say, like work is work, but like sounds really cool. Sounds really like a great creative outlet and sort of performance and engaging with people and absorbing all of that art and that history and that culture. That just sounds absolutely fascinating.
Yes, I agree. And that's a way to still learn things. That's great, because even most of all, when you're in Paris or in a capital like that, there's so many museums and still learning new things. And yes, that's really nice. I cannot complain. That's great.
Yeah, so many of the best locations in one place. It's really great positioning, and like you mentioned a lot about the medieval music, which is so cool. But like you said about history of music in general. So do you talk a lot about French music through all ages, and like obviously you had a lot of French romantic composers and things like that as well. So do you speak about them or?
Not really. I stopped with the classical music. So Mozart, I don't know how to say it in English, but Mozart is the last composer I would talk about.
Okay.
Just because that's not, I don't know, that's not a skill I have. That's something I like to listen, but I'm an amateur in classical music. That's something I can sing. That's more like that. But to talk about history of music, I need to be in ancient music. So antiquity, Middle Ages, Renaissance, and Baroque, I can still talk a bit about that, but then not really.
Okay, cool. Wow. I mean, that's fascinating. All I know is for sure is like, I mean, my wife Maria, she absolutely loves France and Paris. And like she released a track like last week or something, which was a instrumental track called The Streets of Paris that was just meant to be themed around Paris and stuff like that. So she absolutely loves that stuff. And for me, if I go somewhere, like the thing that interests me most is the music culture, you know? So what I can say for sure is that if I ever go to Paris, which is extremely likely, then I'm definitely going to call you up and see if I can book something where we do some history thing, because this sounds awesome, man.
Yes, of course. And now not your friend, I mean, we know each other, so you don't hesitate, and I can show you lots of things, and as a friend, I mean, I don't know how to say it, but so yes, it would be a pleasure to show you the secrets of Paris. Of course, there's lots to see. I hope you will stay more than a week, because we have lots to see.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds great, man. I'll definitely put that in the agenda for some point, man. Sounds very cool indeed.
Do you came to Paris one day, or no?
I've been there. I haven't spent a lot of time there. Let me think. I was there for literally a day last time I was there. I was just kind of passing through. I went to the Hellfest in Clisson. Yeah.
Yes.
And I went via Paris. So it was kind of in Paris for a bit, but not properly so much. And maybe a couple of times as a kid. So no, I haven't really spent enough time there.
But your wife, yes.
Yeah, she's spent more time there for sure. She's more acquainted and traveled around a lot more than I have. It's been a while though, and we haven't gone abroad or anything since COVID, and then we had a kid and all of these things. So, but if we were going to go anywhere, probably France is Paris, something like that, top of the agenda. I've also been reading a lot recently about Versailles, Louis XIV, and these things as well. It's such cool history, So. Yeah, I would love to see that. But
if I have an advice, you should go to Fontainebleau more than Versailles, because Versailles, it's beautiful, so maybe do it one day, but it's just super, super, super crowded. So you don't see anything. There is people everywhere. It's like in the subway. It's like in the Louvre nowadays when you're next to Mona Lisa. Sometimes you just cannot walk properly. There is too much people. And I had a child one day who made an anxiety crisis in the middle of the room for the Mona Lisa. She was like crying because she was scared. There were too many people. So in Fontainebleau, you can still see beautiful things, but there is no one inside this castle, and it's the third biggest of France. So if you want an advice, don't go. Go to Versailles, but go to Fontainebleau also, and you will be alone with the beauties of the castle.
I love that. That's a great piece of advice, because for all of that stuff, like sometimes tourism is not so much my forte, because walking around in all these big crowds and things like that, it's kind of exhausting. Like around Christmas, I was seeing family, and we decided to go to museums in London. And it felt like just more hassle than it was worth, especially with the little one, that starts crying and things like that. And then it's like, let's get out of here.
Yes, I agree. That's not a great place for a little child. And there's too many people, even for the parents. That's not the way to rest.
No, at all. Yeah, it's like hard work getting through that. So have you spent much time in the UK at all? Have you been to London, seen sites around there?
Yes, I've been in London 4 times maybe, and 2 times to do a musical. So it was doing Grease musical. That was a project I had when I was a child, like a teenager, and I went there to play a theater first, and that was called Odd and Scary, They Say. That was the name of the I'm searching for my word today, but the theater thing we were doing, what the name was, Odd and Scary, They Say. And then I made the Grease musical in London, and that was so nice. I just love London.
Which part did you play in Grease?
I am, the bad one, the one which is called Rizzo, and she is with and that what is funny is that I was not liking the woman playing Sandra Dee, so the woman which is the lead of the Grease, I didn't like this woman, and so people were saying, you play very well. The fact that you don't. Yes, because I just hate her.
It's a perfect casting, yeah.
Yes. That's awesome. So that was great.
So you were doing music before Oïkoumen then?
Yes, but that was not music. I was doing that first because I wanted to learn English. That was the purpose behind it. The purpose wasn't to sing, and we were talking more than we were singing in this, because this was not the full musical. It was adapted to our levels, etc. So yes, I was doing, as I said, but I was not just completely into it. So I wasn't considering myself as someone who wants to sing. That's why I say I really started with Oïkoumen, because there I said, now I want to be a singer, and now if people ask me what I do, I say I'm also a singer.
Cool, I'm with you. But it is cool to know though that you were doing like musical theater. I mean, that's awesome.
Yes, I like that. That's so nice.
Did you do any other plays or things like that?
No. I wish I could, but there is too many things to do at the same time. So if I have an opportunity, I think I would go there. I have a friend which is a professional in that, and she's saying how difficult it is. So I'm like, let's see if I have an opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean it's competitive. Like again, there's some incredible singers in that field. Like people are absolutely top of their game. And it's kind of like you say about using your voice all day, you know, they're doing this like night after night. You know, it's incredible stuff. But that's still such an awesome experience that you got to like go to another country and do a musical like that as a teenager, you know. Really cool.
But that's thanks to the teacher who was organizing that. Without her, we won't have do that. So she is the one we have to thanks for that. Really.
Nice. Grease is a fun musical.
Yes, I agree.
It's cool.
That's one of my favorite, with Dancer in the Dark with Bjork. I don't know if you know this one.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, and I should check that out. Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, I'll have to. But okay. So you sound like you're overall rather busy. You keep yourself quite busy with a lot of things going on, right? Between the job and the music, especially. Is there anything else in particular that you enjoy? Any kind of hobbies and things that you have?
Video games.
Oh yeah, nice.
I'm always sad when I cannot play video games once a week or once a day. That's better, but yes, I like that. First, I wish I could be able not to sleep, so I could have more time to do.
Don't we all? Yeah.
But yeah, my hobbies would be video games, and that's the only way I can rest really, because I can just be somewhere else and just be in the story, and I love that. And traveling also, I love traveling, and if I can, I just do that. Also another way I can rest is traveling the world, but well, that's more expensive, so you have to work a lot so you can travel.
Nice. Do you have any particular favorite locations, or you like seeing different places?
I want to see each country in the world.
Nice. Cool.
So, well, first I'm starting with Europe, because we are traveling. When I travel, I'm traveling by train, by car, because I want to see the landscapes. I hate planes, for example, because I'm scary first. And then because you don't see anything from point A to point B, it's like you don't see anything. But I wish I could visit Asia. I wish I could visit America one day also. So I will have to take the plane, obviously.
Yeah, for some of it at least, and then can drive and train around the rest. So yeah, that's cool.
I was looking, for example, to how I could go to Japan without taking the plane, and that's possible.
Yeah, but with I have to boats. Yeah.
Yes, first the train all around Russia, then the boat, and then Japan.
Yes, all the way through Russia. I mean, that's quite a journey.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is possible. Yeah, I watched a documentary once where somebody went to China through on the train, basically, because it was during COVID and like there was no flights, and they had to take the train from the UK. So there must have been a boat, at least from the UK, but then you driving all the way up through Russia. Yeah, quite a journey though, man. I think it was like a week or something just of traveling.
That's clear. And you, is there any country you want to visit?
Oh, it's something that I try and personally not think about too much, on the basis of, I just have to narrow my focus on so many things. So my wife, she's like you, and she absolutely loves traveling around, seeing lots of places. She's been to way more countries than I have, and lived in different countries and stuff as well. So she's more inclined that way, and therefore I would probably be more willing to check out places that she was particularly drawn to. I really love Sweden though, and we did go to Sweden for a little while. We were there for a few months, and we were even considering living there at one point. I really love it there, which is cool. But now I'm kind of happy where we are. I'm from London originally, but like now we live sort of in the north, near York, in the UK, and it's nice. It's chill here now. I have my room and my music equipment, and family and things like that. So I'm kind of happy down here. But as I say, France is definitely somewhere we would go. And we have family now in Hungary as well. So sometimes sometimes go there.
And would you be able to work from another country, or would it be a problem if you move to another country?
Yeah, no, I can work from anywhere really. So work remotely. It's just about maybe some equipment in terms of moving. Like when we were in Sweden, I just had like one guitar. So it was a very sort of impromptu setup, just laptop, guitar, an audio interface and stuff. Managed to kind of make it work, but it's minimal,
I understand.
But yeah, so yeah. What about you? Would you consider moving around, or you like being based in France and traveling?
I would dream to move all around the world, but that's difficult because the band is in France.
Right, yeah.
And my job is in France, and my job, it's just so hard to find the clients. If I lose them, I will have to build everything from the beginning, and I don't think I have the energy for that. But that's why I wish we could succeed in music, so we can travel the world by touring.
Yes.
That's a dream.
That's the ultimate. Okay, yeah, cool. I see how that would come together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's why I will try to put all the energy I have left, but that's because that's a problem. I should be doing that all the day if I really want to succeed. But we need money to feed us, so that's why it's difficult. But I will try my best to be able one day to have a tour all around the world, and I wish one day we could do tours, even if you are a big band and you take some time to meet the population. I mean, to meet the place where you are, because sometimes when you look, for example, to Nightwish tours, in one day they're in a country and the other day in another one. This thing I think is just stupid, but well, that's how it is. But if you could just stay a bit, meet the people, discover the cultures, that would be so nice. But
yes, I see that. Yeah, I see. I can see how that would be you and your element, just like a slightly slower tour where it's not just flying around and playing shows. Like, we'll go here, we'll stay for a few days or a week in Italy, and then, see this area and immerse ourselves there, play a show, and then move on to the next one. Like, yeah, that would be great. Great experience.
It would be like crazy. Yes. But let's see if one day I can have half of that.
Yeah, cool. I'm sure that these experiences will be on the horizon for you. I can see it. And quickly, just because you mentioned as well, like you said about video games and things, like, are there any particular kind of games that you enjoy?
Zelda.
Nice.
Not only, but there's lots of different games. I'm more into RPGs. I mean, Assassin's Creed is great. Red Dead Redemption is great. Stray is great. I like when there is a story behind. The only game I'm not playing are FPS and war games.
Okay.
Like any kind of other games, I like it.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, you did say about sort of getting lost in the story and things like that. So I suppose that's kind of, like the Zelda one and things like that. You're kind of exploring another world in that, in the same way kind of as with the traveling, you kind of get to escape and explore. So yeah,
that's it.
That's
completely
really cool.
that. And the same with I love the Japanese games like Final Fantasy also because of that, because their universe are just so creative, and I just feel so good inside their game. Sometimes I was just disappointed. There is a game, one of my favorite game is called Batten Kitos, and that's a Japanese game, and you just are so well in the place that when you leave all the characters you've been working with during your game, it's just like I was losing friends. I was like, no, I don't want. I want to be part of this world, like Ariel. But anyway, so yes, I like this kind of universe.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think this is a fascinating topic in itself, and I think that things are going to get a lot more surreal as games become more immersive, right? Like, these kind of open world games, especially, to bring that into like virtual reality, extended reality, and like make these whole things much more realistic, to have other players, or even like now they're making NPCs with artificial intelligence. So they have conversations that can actually respond to you. So we can actually live in a way like alternative lives in a virtual realm. I mean, that's going to be crazy. I think that's the way things are going.
Yes, I agree. And that's a way to be able to do things you won't be able to do in life. As you said, it's like traveling. It's like even being a bad person, because that's nice. Sometimes in video games, you're just a bastard. I mean, sometimes.
Sure.
So yes, I agree. That is a way to extend reality, and that's just priceless.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, really cool. I've just clocked that the time has absolutely flown past, and I've already had lots of your time. So I don't want to hold you too much longer. Is there?
I said I was talkative.
No, I love it, man, and I could happily chat with you for for a long time, But I know that you've got to get dinner and things like that as well. Completely up to you. But is there anything else in particular that you'd like to chat about?
Ooh, what's the sense of life? No, but I think you're right. 3 hours. No. Well, there's lots of things we could talk about, but as you said, maybe we have to give an end to the chat one day, or we'll still be talking about that next day. So yes, I think you're right. We have to find an end, and maybe that's a good end.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we, definitely love to do this again sometimes. I feel like there's loads of things that we could talk about. So, I look forward to continuing our conversation.
With pleasure.
Beyond.
Yes, of course. And well, I wish I could go into you're organizing each month something which is gathering every musician in your community. And I wish I could join you here, because so we can chat all together. And thank you so much for having me, because it's quite hard for me to express in English just tonight. I don't know why, so I hope you understand me. And thank
completely.
You for your
patience. No, not at all. No problems with that whatsoever. You've spoken wonderfully. So no, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been a real pleasure.
Nice. Thank you so much. So have a nice dinner, you too, and with your family, and see you in another day. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Creating a Universe. Special thank you to Laura for joining me. I really enjoyed this chat. Be sure to check out Laura's band Oïkoumen at linktr.ee/Oïkoumen. Links will be in the show notes. That's all for this one. I'll see you next time.